with News 8. Good morning, everyone. Glad you're with us. I'm Eric Connert.
And I'm Netta Irampour, and we're going to start with breaking news right now, a fatal crash on Interstate 5. So let's take you right there. This is our live shot for you that, does show, obviously, major slowdowns. 5 South, as we know, Eric, a very busy part of the morning commute through Oceanside. And right now, it is at a stop, as you can tell. So many semi-trucks that typically would, drive the early morning hours to get to where they need to be. They are basically stopped here. It's a lot of backup.
And this is a SIG alert that's been issued for this too, right?
Yeah, so there's a SIG alert according to CHP, and we were getting told that this was a fatal car crash, unfortunately, and that's why they had to block off all of the lanes of the 5 southbound near Las Pulgas Road. So if this is part of your commute, you may want to exit, get down off of the Coast Highway there, and possibly take some of the residential roads to get around this and try to avoid the 5 altogether. Here's a quick check of our traffic maps, and you see some of that backup further up north from where you see the crash icon, where it's some of that red. So that shows me that it's, miles of backup right now, and, all lanes are blocked. Las Pulgas and Harbor Drive, that's where the crash happened. But, southbound side of things, as people are trying to get into San Diego, into North County, it's going to take a long time. And usually with a fatal crash, it does take, a few hours for them to clear the scene and do their full investigation. So it's something we will be keeping an eye on here for you throughout the morning. Now, I also want to get you caught up on what's happening with your forecast here. It is a chilly start to the day. 44 degrees in El Cajon, 47 downtown, 49 in Chula Vista. So 35 in Ramona, very close to freezing, not quite there, but there is a bit of a chill in the air. We're also monitoring a couple chances of rain for us this week. All those details coming up in your forecast.
Right now, no trolley service around the downtown area either. MTS says this is because of another crash. There is no service between 12th and Imperial and America Plaza. So MTS is recommending transferring to the Green Line at 12th and Imperial, then back to the Blue Line at Old Town. The agency says they expect to restore service around 6:30 here this morning, so just about a half hour from now. Starting today, new travel rules are in effect as we deal with the Omicron variant of COVID-19, and this will impact plans, especially if you're going to be taking a trip abroad here.
Yeah, so a lot of people may be rebooking. News 8's Chris Groh joining us live from San Diego International Airport to explain these new changes. Good morning, Chris.
Yeah, good morning, Eric and Netta. And the changes go into place starting today, of course, and that's going to mean that if you're flying internationally, you now have 24 hours to send in prior to your arrival to have that negative COVID test. Before that, you had 72 hours. So again, this is something that travelers need to prepare for. Now, we did speak with a travel agent about this, and she gave us some really good hints and tips on how to combat this right now, because a lot of travelers are wondering what this means for them. Well, preparation is going to be key. According to the travel agent we spoke to, they said it's best to know in advance if the place that you're going to be staying at, that hotel, is going to provide that testing themselves, or do you need to spring extra cash for a rapid test? A lot of times those rapid tests will cost a lot more abroad than they do here domestically. Another thing to prepare for, testing positive and the need to quarantine. There's a good chance that if one of your travel buddies goes ahead and tests positive for COVID-19 before you arrive back here in the United States of America, that person's going to have to stay by themselves, or if that's you. So you need to make plans on where you need to stay, if that's going to be the same hotel that you were staying at, or if you need to get a new hotel. Another thing, travel insurance. That is something that, again, this travel agent is saying has never been as important as it is now. Now, we did also speak to some travelers here at the San Diego International Airport about these constantly changing guidelines, and this is what one traveler had to say. Take a listen.
I think to save lives and to slow the spread of the new variant, it's likely necessary, and it seems like a reasonable measure.
And of course, if you have any questions on what different type of travel restrictions are currently ongoing, do you still need to wear your mask on the planes, things like that? Again, that is a yes. Just go to our website, cbs8.com, and click on that story link. Eric and Netta.
Chris Groh reporting live. Thanks, Chris. At least 17 states have now identified cases of new Omicron variants of COVID-19, and many of the confirmed cases have been found in vaccinated people who reported mild symptoms.
We really got to be careful before we make any determinations that it is less severe or it really doesn't cause any severe illness comparable to Delta. But thus far, the signals are a bit encouraging regarding the severity.
Now, Omicron's arrival has coincided with a spike in new COVID cases across the country, up 19% in just 2 weeks. The number of new infections now tops 108,000 a day.
San Diego Unified's COVID vaccine mandate will move forward. It comes after a judge ruled to lift a temporary halt on the district's mandate put in place last week. The Ninth Circuit ruled the mandate is in the best interest of students and public safety. So this means eligible students 16 and older will need to have their second COVID vaccine dose by December 20th. The district will allow for medical exemptions, but not religious or personal belief exemptions. Teachers do have that option. Keep in mind the district is awaiting full FDA approval for COVID vaccines in the 12 to 15 age group. The Poway Unified School District will not mandate vaccines for students during the 2021-2022 school year. In an email to parents, the district says they will wait to enforce the mandate after the vaccines receive full FDA approval for children. Right now, it has emergency use authorization. The district said the earliest date they would enforce a student vaccine mandate is July of 2022, which is in line with the state's timeline.
This morning, the Remain in Mexico policy has now been reinstated. Migrants will be forced to stay in Mexico while waiting for their asylum cases to be processed here in the United States. This program is moving forward despite President Biden being against it, and that's because of a court order. The program will have some changes. The government must provide COVID vaccines to migrants. The administration must also make sure each asylum case takes no longer than 6 months and must provide better access to legal counsel. The parents of the Michigan teen charged with killing 4 students in a school shooting last week are waking up in jail this morning. The pair captured over the weekend, but they insist they were never on the run. The couple's attorney says the two were going to turn themselves in. James and Jennifer Crumbly are accused of purchasing a handgun for their teenage son. The accused shooter has been charged as an adult with murder, terrorism, and other charges. Former Republican Senator Bob Dole of Kansas has died. Dole had announced he had stage 4 lung cancer back in February. The World War II veteran made 3 unsuccessful bids for the White House. In 36 years on Capitol Hill, Dole helped shape a range of policy issues from taxes to rights for the disabled. Bob Dole was 98 years old.
Today, at least 6 of the 8 people accused in a protest in Pacific Beach last January are due in court. Police are still searching for a 9th suspect. The protest led to fights as well as rocks and bottles being thrown. Police say 16 victims came forward to press criminal charges against protesters. Today, San Diego State will announce the naming rights to Aztec Stadium. So far, there's no word on what that name will be. As for when the stadium will be completed, you can expect to see it ready in time for the 2022 football season next September. And so.
Yeah, let's show you what's going on now with that car crash, fatal car crash in Oceanside. So, this is something that CHP has been investigating. They'll continue to do so. Obviously, you can tell how much backup this is causing going 5 southbound right near Las Pulgas Road. So this is in Oceanside for, all of these big semi trucks that are coming through, in the early morning hours. That's typically when they do their early commutes. And, they're almost at a standstill. It looks like there's some movement now of these vehicles. So CHP's, what reports are that 1 lane is open and they had to close the number 2, 3, and number 4 lanes. So at this point, they did issue that SIG alert because of the fatal crash. Obviously, this is going to impact people for quite some time. Investigators do need to get through and figure out what happened there. And then, of course, once they clear the scene, then the roads will open up. So it might slow you down on the northbound side as well if you are going through Oceanside. As far as where the crash is, you see it right there, but the backup is extending all the way further back. So with all of these vehicles trying to go southbound, many coming from possibly LA County, Irvine, Newport, that's a, busy part of town that typically we do see that commute coming through North County. So the details here on our traffic maps showing 3 lanes blocked, and this would be southbound at Las Pulgas Road and Harbor Drive. That's where this has happened. SIG alert issued, and we do not know when this is going to clear. As you can tell, it's right in the middle of it all, in the middle of this investigation, so it might be some time. So as things get busier and busier throughout the morning, you may need to plan accordingly. Don't take the 5 southbound if you can avoid it at all. Possibly try to exit off of the 5 and take a different route through the residential areas. So hopefully that'll help you out a little bit, providing some of that information for you this morning. Also, what you're waking up to would be a chill in the air. 41 in Escondido, 35 in Ramona, 44 in Poway and El Cajon. Look at that 24-hour temperature change. Quite a drop, quite a cool down that we are noticing before the sun comes up. Here's a look now that we have a little more daylight coming through. You can see that area of clouds off in the distance, mainly at the coastline, and that's it. So our sunrise not until 6:37. 4:42 will be our sunset, and the marine layer will work its way in right around that time, possibly after. So hopefully you'll get a chance to see both sunrise and sunset for today before a storm rolls in. So visibility for now, 3-mile visibility in Imperial Beach, 5 downtown. I do want to point out in Oceanside about an hour or so ago, visibility was down to a half mile. Now it's up to 4, so the clouds seem to be lifting at least where that weather station is. So, you know, that also could be something that may impact drivers. Some patchy fog being reported. Now, over the next 12 hours, low 60s by 10 a.m., noon, mid 60s by 2 o'clock. The hottest time of our day, 67 degrees. So we're not going to get too hot today. Inland, low 70s. Should feel pretty comfortable, I would say. 73 in Escondido, 71 in Poway, 71 in Miramar. Ramona, 75, same with El Cajon. And then you'll see in the deserts, 85 degrees. So these temperatures right here are actually seasonal. We're seasonal for today. Then we are watching for a system that will bring us some rain chances late tonight, early tomorrow morning. Another system on Thursday, a little more widespread. And I'll time it all out for you here coming up in your full forecast.